If you happen to live in Iowa or Missouri or anywhere south and east of there, you'll notice that in the spring, everything around you comes to life with wild redbud trees. They're one of my favorite forageables, and if you haven't seen our episode on that, I hope you'll take the time to pop over and watch that episode, learn all about how they were named and the medicinal properties of them. But today, we're just gonna make a very simple recipe for redbud jelly. Will you meet me in the kitchen? The first thing you need for redbud jelly is to find a good redbud tree. So I'll leave that to your discretion and timing, depending on what time of year it is. Obviously, they bloom first thing in the spring, right when the crocuses and daffodils come into bloom in the yard and the chives start growing. Just when you look around and the forsythia are brilliant yellow, you're gonna notice along the streets, the redbud trees all come into bloom, and it's the perfect ticker tape parade in the spring as you go down the street and recognize all the beautiful purple flowers on the redbud trees. Now, if you don't know about them, like how they got their name and what parts are edible and how to identify them, I want you to go back and make sure you've watched our episode that is just about foraging for redbuds. And I'll make sure to link that down below and above this. Okay, once you've found a good redbud tree, you're gonna wanna harvest the redbuds, and they are so much fun and so easy to harvest. Anybody can do it. As long as the branches are within reach, you just reach up and pull your hand down that small branch, preferably catching all of those red buds down below in a basket or a bowl of some sort, or a bag or such like that. Some people lay a blanket out on the ground and grab them onto the blanket or a tablecloth or something. But you find it, however it's easy for you to harvest them. It took me all about, maybe only 5 minutes to harvest several cups worth of redbuds to work with for this recipe. So I know you're gonna have fun getting the family out there. And just in case you're worried, don't ever be concerned that you're capturing the only redbuds off of the tree and that now the tree's going to die or something. You'll notice there are so many redbuds out there, you won't hurt the tree one bit collecting many cups worth of redbuds in the spring. Now, when you have your redbuds, what you're gonna wanna do for this recipe only, just make sure you understand there are other recipes where you need to be much more meticulous in your cleaning. But that's why this is so much fun. We're going to be straining this later and we're going to be boiling it. So there's no need for you to really worry about cleaning all of this a whole bunch unless you are highly concerned about all the bugs and twigs. But really, I don't even rinse this. I want all the good properties that are in these redbuds, so I just bring them home, and yes, if there are huge sticks in my basket, I will make sure to get the giant sticks out, which hopefully there are very few. If you're wanting to make this recipe, you need to have about 2 cups, and I say about because it's all loosely. They're loose packed, you don't want to push them down, so about 2 cups of redbuds is what you need. And to that, we're going to add 2 cups of freshly boiled water. See how simple this is? So you're gonna take those beautiful buds, and yes, immediately when the water gets on them, they start losing their color, but that's okay because we want that. Pour the hot water over them carefully, and then if they happen to all float to the top like mine do, just find yourself a stick or a spoon and stir them until they all are immersed. Don't worry, some will always be floating on the top, and that's fine. But once you've got them all in there, just screw on the lid, and we're going to let those cool to room temperature and then set into the refrigerator for the night. And then tomorrow, you're going to have 2 cups worth of liquid that you're going to turn into fantastic jelly. Now, this is the fun part that you want to make sure you call the family in, because they'll want to see this and they'll think you're some sort of magician when really you're not. You just are glad to be using what God has made to do these kind of things. Find yourself a good glass jar that you can all see really well. Of course, you could do this in a bowl, but I like it in a glass jar so everybody gets to witness the transformation. Then find yourself a strainer, because we're going to strain just the liquid out of one of our 2 cups worth of liquid and 2 cups worth of Redbuds. I'm going to strain it right into this jar so that you can see it. Let me see if I can do it right for you here. All right, so first we'll just pour off that liquid into here. And you can see it's a beautiful color. Sometimes it will be peaked in color. Don't worry, you didn't do anything wrong. And I'm going to actually, hold on, I'm going to kind of help those out because we want to get every bit of that yummy juice out of it. They'll have lost most of their color. Your juice might look anemic. It might look very like pale green even. Don't worry if it does, that's all right. You've done it correctly if you did what I've said so far. But I'm going to just squeeze some of that out of there just to make sure we've got as much juice as possible. Whoops, I just broke my stick. Squeeze out as much juice as possible into that. And then the next part of this is the fun part. You're going to set this aside, or if you have chickens, they always love helping you eat those used up Redbuds. And they don't have a lot left in them to do anything else with right now. But set that aside and get yourself 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. Now, I've heard people say just the juice of 1 lemon is perfect, and if you want to do it that way, if you have fresh lemons, go ahead and do that. I've got 2 tablespoons already measured out of store-bought from concentrate lemon juice, and it's going to do just fine. So get your family around, and you're going to notice quite a difference in the color as I pour that lemon juice in, but that's what makes this fun. All right, here we go. Now, if this had been green, you would have gone, wow. But since it was just purple, you just saw it turn hot pink. And it really wasn't that vibrant of a change on this one. I wish I could have shown you some extreme difference. You would have all gone, ooh. But that's all right. You'll get an ooh from your family if you have it be pale green, or if it's even a dark purple, it'll turn a hot pink. It always turns hot pink like this once you get the lemon juice into it. Now, if you remember right, so far we've only got 2 cups of the water in it. We've got 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. So now I'm going to put it on the heat over the stove, and we're going to add 2 cups of sugar, and I like to use that raw sugar, and we're going to use about 4 tablespoons to 8 tablespoons of fruit pectin to get that nice thick jelly. Here we go. All right. This is simple now. You're going to put on a burner over medium to high heat. I'll go ahead and get mine going because this will go quick. But I'm going to pour in that 2 cups worth of liquid. Beautiful hot pink Redbud liquid. Then I've already measured 2 cups worth of that raw sugar. I'm going to pour those right in there with it. Here in just a minute we'll whisk that up until it dissolves. And I'm going to right now, some people wait, some people do it on the front end. You do it however it works for you. But I'm going to go ahead and put in 4 tablespoons of fruit pectin. And in another episode in the future, you'll see us as we show you how to make your own pectin from apples. But we'll do that on another day. For now, I'm going to just get it all in here and whisk it up real good so that there are no clumps. All right, that's 4, and I've got my grandmother's old whisk. You'll notice it likes to clump if you don't whisk it up quickly, so get right on it. And even though it looks kind of muddy right now and cloudy, don't worry, it'll clear up beautifully here in just a few minutes as it cooks. You're going to bring all of this to a full boil, and when it gets to a rolling boil, that's when I add 4 more tablespoons for my recipe, just because I like the jelly to be really thick. But if you like kind of runny jelly, which a lot of people do, you can just go with 4 and leave it just like we've done. So what I'm saying is by the end of this, I'll have a total of 8 tablespoons of pectin in my jelly, just to make sure it gets nice and thick. I'll let that rest for a moment and set these things aside so they're not next to the heat, because fruit pectin is very intolerant of being next to high heat. You might keep that in mind. But as I set these away, and I'm going to whisk this all the way until that sugar and pectin have fully dissolved, and then you don't have to whisk it fully at that point, but you're just going to wait for it to come to a boil and just kind of continue to stir it with a nice wood or slotted spoon. That's my grandmother's old whisk. If you haven't seen one of those in a while, you might remember they used to use these as their whisk, but also to separate eggs, where you split an egg in there and it holds the yolk for you but lets the white of it pass through. So it always makes me think of my grandma when I use it. If you can hear that, I don't know, but it always makes a lower sound and then almost goes silent when it's getting ready to boil. And you know that's the time to start stirring it. Turn down the heat so that it doesn't boil over. But if you were going to add any more pectin, this is the time to do it. So let me add just a little bit in here and whisk it up. It's considered a rolling boil if it's rolling gently, but it's a hard boil if when you stir it, it will not cooperate in going down. Like right now, this is considered a rolling boil. You're going to stir it continually from here on out, but you'll notice it'll come to a full boil or a hard boil, and it'll almost boil over and you'll be going, ah! Some people like to lay a wooden spoon across the top, sort of like this, and that's supposed to keep it from boiling over the top. I don't think it works really well. You can weigh in. If you do that and it works for you, let the rest of us know. But it's going to come to a hard boil right now, and we're going to, once it comes to a hard boil, we're going to wait for 1 minute, and 1 minute of hard boil, and it should be ready to go into our jars. Here it comes. And I'll stir quickly, hoping it doesn't boil over. You need it to be at a hard boil for a full minute. Okay, it's ready. It's been hard boiling for 1 full minute, maybe a smidgen over, and that's just fine, but don't go too long. You're going to go ahead and stir it down. Some people like to go ahead and skim off all of that bubbly that's on the top. I really don't mind it. It kind of takes care of itself and will go down here and be almost clear very shortly. It's clear underneath those bubbles, but I'll give it just a moment and we're going to pour it right into those jars. So have your funnel and jars ready. I have a couple of little jars here standing by, and I'm just going to see how many it fills up. It will gel very quickly here. Looks like I have a few little chunks that I didn't get out. If you are worried that you might have a few chunks, go ahead and you can filter it with a sieve again. And I'm going to grab 2 more little jars because I didn't realize I have more than I thought. Ooh, it's already quickly turning to jelly. And if there's any bit left over, of course, you know I'm going to enjoy it on a biscuit right as soon as I'm finished filming this. Here's the last little bit. Okay. Once you get it at this stage, all we've got to do is screw on those lids. Some people like to water bath can it immediately so that it stays indefinitely on your shelf in the pantry. But really, if I make a small batch like this, what'll probably end up happening is I'm going to just let it suck in the lid the way it will, which does not mean it's fully canned. Don't let that fool you. But I will let it come to room temperature, then I'll put it in the refrigerator and let it sit. And it should last probably about 2 months just fine in the refrigerator, and I'll bet I'll have eaten it all within 2 months. Doesn't God give us the best gifts? And this is certainly one of them for the springtime. Now, you know what I'm going to tell you. There is somebody in the world right now that needs you to be their blessing. And I hope that this week you go out and find one person that needs you to be their blessing, and you are that to them. In fact, if you've made a batch of this, maybe they need a little jar of your homemade Redbud jelly just to make them smile this spring. I don't know. But until I see you next time, will you go out, share this with someone you love, and be a blessing to someone? We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Hey, before you go, I would love to share a quick word of scripture. This is out of the Holy Bible, right there in the middle in the book of Isaiah. And it's chapter 40, verse 28 and 29. It says this: have you not known? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God. He is the creator of the ends of the earth. He doesn't faint or grow weary. His understanding is unsearchable. He gives power to the weak, and to him who has no might, he increases strength. It's getting dark out there. Now go out and glow.